element. And the first activity conducted under this project was the sensitization of the National Inventorite List of the ICH elements, which was conducted at Red 5. And we were able to popularize the 30 ICH elements that were enlisted by UNESCO. And these 30 elements were associated with each community bearer, depicting their cultural identities and having a sense of belonging for each of these community members into their various cultural landscape. The program was the program was highly interactive and very interesting because we were able to have so many wonderful performances, cultural performances, especially the simulation activity, which was one of the very most interesting activity we had at Janjambure. It depicted the traditional culture of the Fula traditional marriage rites, detailing out all the processes involved, requiring the materials and their cultural attires required during their marriage rites. It was one of the best activities and the performance displays that we experienced in Janjambure. Likewise, also the lip and gum tattooing, and also the preparation of the munkutuo. Munkutuo was also one of the ICH elements that we experienced making in Janjambure, and it was a learning point for many that attended the session because we learned new skills added to what we've known. Experts guide and train us differently the way munkutuo are being prepared. And we were so grateful and appreciate the expertise and knowledge exhibited on that activity. But today we gathered here today to witness another implementation, that is the second activity we are about to implement today. That is the training of curriculum teachers, curriculum officers, and teacher coordinators to integrate living heritage into the school curriculum. With that said, I would love to call on Mr. Yaju to give his statement on behalf of the Secretary General of the Gambia National Commission for UNESCO, Ms. Maimuna Sidibe. Mr. Yaju.
Like the Master of Ceremony said, I'm reading this statement on behalf of Maimuna Sidibe, Secretary General, who is not with us here physically, but in spirit she is with us. She is monitoring us and also taking stock of what is happening with us here today. My dear curriculum officers, teachers, colleagues from the National Commission for UNESCO, as well as from the National Federation of Gambia Cluster for UNESCO, the press. We are gathered here this morning to witness training on the integration of living heritage, otherwise called intangible cultural heritage, into school curriculum. We all know that this is coming from our communities, but how aware are we of some of this living heritage? It's the curriculum today that will kind of help us rediscover whether we really have this in our curriculum or not. We will discover that when the training unveils. So I have to give you a little background as to what was the genesis of this project. That being the case, you have to know that the Gambia ratified the 2003 Convention for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage in May 2011. UNESCO carried out a needs assessment in Gambia in 2015, where national stakeholders addressed the importance of promoting local cultures and the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage, which is called ICH. The assessment pointed out the need to raise awareness and support national institutions to reinforce their knowledge on the 2003 Convention and its implementation mechanisms. The importance of building a national strategy to safeguard intangible cultural heritage and to review strategic documents on culture in general was also underlined. Diverse stakeholders also highlighted during this assessment the need for setting up a community-based inventory and reinforcing their capacities to develop safeguarding plans and project proposals in the field of living heritage. To this end, UNESCO delivered throughout 2022 and 2023 technical training to different stakeholders involved in safeguarding intangible cultural heritage, government officials, associations, academia, communities, groups, and individuals were trained. Particular attention was given to setting solid basis on the concept of intangible cultural heritage and developing adequate planning tools and methodologies for its safeguarding. Training activities aim at strengthening the capacities of these stakeholders in the following areas: as better knowledge of the 2003 Convention, methodologies for participatory community-based inventories for ICH safeguarding in the Gambia, and the elaboration of safeguarding plans and measures. Madam Chairperson, I must say that after a thorough and rigorous process of elaboration, the NCAC with its stakeholders was able to put on the table an enviable list of 30 ICH elements that has become a pace setter for state parties. When I say state parties, I mean all member states of UNESCO, okay, in the elaboration of living heritage at the level of UNESCO. The Gambia National Commission, therefore, owes the NCAC commendation for leading the way in ICH enlistment. Keep up the momentum. I must say that the list of inventoried ICH elements is wide-ranging, covering oral traditions and expressions, performing arts, social practices, rituals, festive events, local knowledge, and about nature and the universe, as well as traditional craftsmanship. We invite you to the presentations to rediscover our local heritage after this opening. You will be amazed. Thank you all for your kind attention.
To all of you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, the Secretary General, National Commission for UNESCO, who is ably represented by the Senior Program Officer, Mr. Jajo, the Director of Curriculum, Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. You're welcome, sir. Good morning to you all once again. Suffice it to say that today's event is a culmination of a decade and a half long work. Like my dear brother just pointed out, since the ratification of the convention in 2011, series of activities were implemented geared towards the safeguarding of living heritage, otherwise called intangible cultural heritage. I need not to go over some of the strides. He pointed out the needs assessment in 2015, and of course the pilot inventory that was meant to strengthen national capacities for safeguarding intangible cultural heritage and its contribution to sustainable development goals. Because the 2003 Convention sits at the heart of sustainable development goals. And of course, the latest achievement is in October 2024, when the Gambia, by virtue of its effort in implementing the convention, was awarded international assistance with a tune of $100,000 to carry out a 2-year project. And this we intend to commence shortly after this month of fasting. And the location of that project will be in the Central River region. Our today's session, or I think I should say this 2 days session is very, very important because it is a means to attaining one of the very important objectives of the UNESCO 2003 Convention. ICH integration in education is a sole way for sustainable safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage because it will really, in many ways, help to enhance the chain of transmission. Mr. Jaju pointed out that we all are from societies and communities, and since time immemorial, we were learning informally about how some of the intangible cultural heritages are enacted, ranging from our life cycle ceremonies, be it naming ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, or even funeral ceremonies. I'm sure the Fullers or Serakules will start looking around. But all of these are part of our way of life, but they weren't included or integrated in the stratified or structured learning activity, which is the formal education. And this effort by the National Commission for UNESCO is highly commendable by the National Center for Arts and Culture. And this, I would like to extend the heartfelt appreciation of the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, Mr. Hasum Sise, that this is one of the objectives of the convention, to ensure that ICH is integrated into school curriculum. So far, we haven't yet able to have a subject as far as ICH is concerned in schools, but there are certain subjects like history, geography, integrated studies that ICH can aptly be integrated and will really contribute to making sure that children find the learning very meaningful. As duty bearers, teachers and curriculum officers, by the end of these 2 days, you will realize that education plays a key role in safeguarding ICH and can provide, can provide context-specific content and pedagogy for education programs. And therefore, it can act as a leverage to increase the relevance and quality of education, thereby improving learning outcomes. There are 30 elements, but ultimately, I know we will struggle to exhaust the content that you will be interacting with in these 2 days. I therefore thank the Director of Curriculum for gracing this occasion, and all of you for taking the time from your busy schedule to join us. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Delighted to be part of this occasion because talking about culture or cultural heritage is something that as a ministry we have a serious commitment. If you look at the education policy 2016-2030, we are committed as a ministry to protect and safeguard cultures and cultural heritage. And that is why the new reform that we are doing with the curriculum, we have even created a new subject called social studies, which was part of the social and environmental studies. And now we have a separate subject called social studies. Because the emphasis we want to make in this reform of the curriculum is to promote our cultural values as a country. And of course, this sits very well in that effort. This is coming at the right time because for now, we are embarking on these reforms. We already have the draft new curriculum that we intend to pilot this coming academic year. And apart from getting it into the social studies as a subject, I want to inform you that we also use the approach of integration through other subjects, so that the case of history and geography, as well as any other new learning area that we are creating, civic education, for instance, is coming new. And these are all opportunities where we intend to integrate important aspects of culture and heritage. That being the case, I want to call on all the important partners like UNESCO NATCOM, as well as the National Center for Arts and Culture. Of course, I'm calling on my brother, the Director General, Mr. Hasum Sise, who is part of the panelists in this new curriculum that we are developing, that this is the sure way of safeguarding and protecting our cultural values and heritage. And that is by integrating them into the curriculum so that we catch them young. Some of us here who've been to school and we are remotely relating to some of our cultural values and communities. Sometimes we tend to forget those things that we went through in our villages during childhood. And this is all the reason why it's important that we, as a country, make serious effort to look at what do we do to integrate this into the curriculum, so that we know culture influences behaviors. We know our cultures shape our identity, but we also know cultures can foster a lot of values and heritages that we should be proud of as a nation and as individuals. So, of course, having them in the curriculum and training teachers who are implementing that curriculum, I think is a very positive move that I want to congratulate UNESCO NATCOM, Mr. Lamin Jaju, the Senior Program Officer, through you to the Secretary General, as well as the UNESCO fraternity for supporting the Gambia to look at how we integrate this into the curriculum. I want to thank everyone here who has taken their time to be part of this important training workshop, and I want to call upon all of you to seriously take this up, especially those who are coming from the curriculum directorate, so that whatever lessons we are learning here will help us better adapt some of the lessons into the new curriculum. With that, I want to thank everybody for coming and declare this training workshop formally open. Thank you.
So we'll be going through this. First, we look at the various UNESCO culture conventions. All right. Most of which are already ratified by the Gambia. Then we also look at the definition of living heritage, which is also the same as intangible cultural heritage. Also, we look at the domains of ICH, the two lists of the convention when it comes to inscription, and we also look at the Kankurang, the Manding initiatory right, which is the only element that is inscribed so far as the Gambia is concerned. Also, we look at how some of the efforts that were observed in a bid to implement the convention, the Gambia ICH landscape, approaches to ICH integration, benefits, and last but not least, we'll be also doing some little now to the UNESCO Culture Conventions, as we can see, these are the UNESCO Culture Conventions that so far the Gambia is able to ratify 6 of them. The first one, which is the Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the Event of Armed Conflict, which is the 1954 Convention, is so far on the pipeline, but yet to be ratified. The 1970 Convention, the 1972 Convention, 2001 Convention, 2003 Convention, 2005, and the Universal Copyright Conventions are all ratified by the Gambia. And that means that the Gambia is a state party to all these conventions. So the reason why I highlighted the Convention for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage, that's going to be the focus of our discussion. So that's the 2003 Convention, which ensures that our living heritage are safeguarded into.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.